Okay, so we are back with Jordan Chain and talking about our tips for riding Zwift, Young and the Zwiftless. I think he coined that name and we stole it. But a lot of us have a lot we want to learn about Zwift, and we're picking Jordan's brain to try and fast track our learning curve here. So today we're going to talk a little bit about climbing, climbing on Zwift, and also trainer difficulty. So Jordan, big climbs on Zwift, lots of really, really hard climbs, and just wanting to know, I hear from a lot of people, can't get my gearing right, I'm struggling with it, what am I doing wrong? So from the expert, what are we doing wrong when we're struggling with our climbs?
So, so it's just a learning curve. Climbing, the climbs are everywhere on Zwift, and the big routes you want to do will often have like a 20, 30, 40. There's a 2 hour climb on Zwift. So if you
Wow.
want to climb, it's all there. But the common mistake, I think, is that you're not used to the smart trainer. And the smart trainer is going to simulate the resistance of a climb. So when you get onto a gradient and it's 7% on your little Zwift screen up in the corner, it's going to make it feel like 7%. And so just like in real life, you need to click your gears up and get into your little ring to go up that gradient. The trainer's not going to sort of work with you on that. It's just like hitting the road, and it's going to make it feel like that. So you need to be able to adjust, and it's really good to know what's coming up in terms of gradient, because the smart trainer sort of will smack you in the face with the gradient a bit and how it feels. So it's really cool on a website called Zwift Insider,
Insider,
ultimate
okay.
resource for Zwift nerd stuff. Yeah. You can go on this website, and if you're curious about any route on Zwift, if you see something on your app or I want to check this out, any climb, anything, you type it in the search and it'll come up, and you'll get the full information on that climb and some graphics that you can see that'll show you how steep it is in certain parts. And so you can kind of know going in where you need to shift and like where you need to put the power down too. Because just in like real life, you're gonna have to save some power to get up. I've gone up these climbs at 4K an hour before when I'm completely destroyed and I have no power left. So you have to pace it out, or you'll go real slow. Research, and that'll help you know how to handle these things, because the smart trader can be a bit severe in the resistance sometimes.
Right, and just like any good racer, a good race plan, a good ride plan, thinking about your gearing, thinking about what you're going to be riding. So really no different than really being out there riding, right? Is what you're saying. Learn about what you're going to get into, and then
Exactly.
you'll do a better job of getting through it effectively, right? So.
Yeah, if you're doing our classes like the tag class, and you see in the morning you get your meetup invitation, you can type in the course into Zwift Insider and see exactly what's going to be there for
And
you.
you can stress
So
all day.
that's pretty cool.
You can stress all day, right?
Yeah, I got so many meetups, and yeah, that's how it happens.
It's funny. We used to talk about stage racing. You never look at next day's climbs, or you never look at next day's stage. Leave it for what's happening right now. Um, and so you're
1 page at a time.
you're talking about adjusting the trainer difficulty. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay, so say the trainer is punching you in the face a lot and you don't like how it feels, and say you don't want to get into your little ring all the time, you can actually adjust how the gradients feel coming from the trainer. In this little video, I show you how in the menu, you go in the menu, settings, and there's a little scroller, and if you adjust this slider, it'll adjust how much gradient the trainer gives you. So if it's at 100% all the way to the right, a 7% grade will feel like 7%. You're going to have to gear down. And if it's all the way to the left at 0, you're not going to feel any change. You can keep it in the big ring and just ride. You're not really using the smart trainer, but that's there for you. And if you put it in the middle, a 7% grade will feel like a 3.5% basically. So you'll probably be able to stay in your big ring. So depending on the gears you have on your bike, how much shifting you want to do, and how you feel about the climbing, you can actually make it feel different.
This isn't that kind of like cheating? It's sort of like you're coming out with a bulldozer and you decided that Alpe d'Huez should be like 4%. So you're just gonna like hone the top off it. So what do you think?
Right.
Yeah.
So if you go into any Zwift group on Facebook or anything, this is the number one topic. Is trainer difficulty cheating? And it could be maybe, but really like if you do a certain amount of power and you weigh a certain amount, it's going to take you the same amount of time to get up the climb as it would regardless of that trainer difficulty. It's just going to feel different on your legs
Okay.
and you're going to be able to use different gears to get up it, but it's not going to change your speed at all. And no one else on Zwift would know what your difficulty is or anything like that. So it's just really your preference. And that's pretty nice to be able to bulldoze Cypress or Seymour a little bit, right? If you're not feeling so good.
Yeah, wow. I did not know about that one. That's quite a concept. And another really important thing that comes up a lot, erg mode and using erg mode. And I know there's lots of videos out there explaining, what that means, but maybe you can talk to us a little bit about that setting.
So this is just the other half of having a smart trainer. One mode is simulation mode, and so that's the gradients we're talking about. It's making it feel like the map you're seeing. Erg mode is something that you do in workouts, and Zwift has its own little section for workouts. It has thousands of them you can pick from. And if you check the little box at the bottom, erg mode, what your smart trainer will do is if the interval is to do 200 watts at 80 RPM, it's going to make sure that you do 200 watts and no, sorry, not 80 RPM. It's going to make sure you do 200 watts no matter what cadence you're at. So if you slow down, it's going to get harder to pedal and you're still going to do 200 watts. If you're spinning really fast, like Leslie likes you to do in the classes, it's going to be a lighter resistance. It's going to be a lighter resistance on the pedals, but you're still doing 200 watts. So that's really cool if you have a specific interval set you want to do, and it keeps you honest. And if you don't want to think about it, it just gets you through it. But you want to be careful with it because there's no way out. So if you can't do 200 watts all of a sudden, it's going to bring you down like you're pedaling through mud and you're going to have trouble. You can adjust it in your app, but you should be prepared for that and definitely, get used to it before you set up an hour workout for yourself on erg mode. And generally I tell my coaching clients to, you shouldn't always use erg mode because once you get on the road, no one's going to adjust the resistance for you so you can keep your power steady. So it's a cool tool, but maybe not all the time. And it's good to know how it works.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer that, when you're riding your bike, you actually do have to learn to make those decisions, right? And think through those things. So, yeah, it's a good reminder. And I watched something talking about erg mode and talking about sometimes, again, this is back to something else we talked about with the computer making the adjustment on the resistance. And maybe if you're at a lower cadence, tell me if this is right, if you're at a lower cadence, it wants you to be at that wattage, 200, 400, whatever it is. But if you can't, if you are trying to bring your cadence up, you might struggle with that because the resistance load is quite high because you're at that lower cadence, correct?
Yeah, they call it the spiral of death because once your cadence goes below your optimal range where you like it to be, it gets harder to make the power because you don't like that cadence and you can't bring it back up. So you go from 100 to 90 to 50, and then you can't make any power at 40, right? You just, and then you're done. So that's how a lot of that's how lab tests end. And so just, on Zwift, I would start on the low end of your targets, maybe using erg mode. And so it doesn't get you in the death spiral.
The death spiral. That's a good one. Well, thanks, Jordan. That's all really interesting. And there's a lot to learning how to use these things. So really appreciate your insight. Jordan coaches training sessions and group rides with us, as well as all his many hours of coaching riders. So thank you for taking the time once again to talk to us. And that's it for the Young and the Zwiftless today.